Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. Bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Streaming live on the Foundation Podcast YouTube channel, here's Nick and Matt.
Can I ask, leading into Worlds, on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable were you with your discs and your game going into Worlds?
I feel like I was definitely up there. Maybe saying 10 out of 10 is pretty extreme, but I'd say I was at least a 9. I got to Utah pretty early. I think I was there about the 8th of June, so 12, 13 days, 14 days before Worlds started, and that gave me plenty of time to get used to the weather out there, like the heat, and it gave me plenty of time to get used to the altitude. I actually kind of like how my discs fly, just in general, at a little higher elevation. I feel like I don't have to worry about overturning things. But yeah, definitely something that takes a little getting used to. And then my putt doesn't seem to be too much affected by the elevation. I was able to just kind of hit them hard and trust that they'd go in.
Yeah, and I've never performed in a professional world championship. I had an opportunity in 2011 to play Am Worlds, and that was pretty cool for me. Going into pro world, and by the way, I didn't feel like I had the chance to win it. I have to believe at your skill, your quality, the length of time you've played in disc golf, you had a feeling going into the world championships, and you probably do most years. Was there something different this year where you were like, this is my year? Did you have any different feelings going into this Worlds than previous Worlds?
It's hard for me to remember. It'd been about 2 years since we actually played a Worlds, but I definitely felt confident. I was happy with where my game was. I've had some good performances through May and June, a couple that were a little bit off, but even my off tournaments or off rounds, it felt like I was pretty much doing everything right. I just wasn't maybe quite scoring as well as some of the people out there, just a little mistake here that cost me double or that kind of thing. So overall, my game was feeling great going in, and I feel like especially getting to Utah as early as I did, I felt comfortable with the environment. I felt really comfortable on the courses. I definitely like my chances.
Yeah, and like I said, you have to believe, I don't want to classify all of the top 20 as the top 20, but you have to believe everyone there going in is thinking, I've got a chance. And maybe most of the, top 50 even, but it's exciting to hear how strong you are feeling going into that. I say this from my perspective, and I think probably a lot of our viewers and listeners probably feel similarly. I'll say it, you're an interesting guy, and that is compelling to watch. Okay. And what I mean by that is you have some players who just are very, forward with their emotions and large, right? And then you have some who are quieter. And honestly, I put you in the same emotional strength as like a Paul Macbeth. I do. I see like you guys are very composed. You tend to be on the quieter side. And maybe there's something, Calvin Heimberg. We can put you,
okay, yeah.
You're in good company. You're in good company. And you were trading blow for blow throughout the whole final round. A lot of birdies going down. You're keeping up. You go into the last hole. You drive on 18. I'm just ramping it up here at the very end. And you were frustrated off the tee pad. Do you feel like, first of all, this is a two-part question. Do you feel like it takes luck to get through those trees off of hole 18's drive? And then generally, after your frustration with that drive, what were you saying to yourself?
To answer the first part, I don't think that tee shot requires luck. I think my specific throw could have used some luck to get through. It didn't get through, but I missed the big gap on the hole. I feel like I wouldn't even say it was particularly lucky that it didn't kick OB, but it was a little ways from the OB lines. But yeah, luck is a weird expression in disc golf. There's constantly like things that could have gone a little bit differently this way or a little bit differently that way. And I think over the course of an entire event, especially one as long as Worlds, that it's mostly going to balance out. Like some people may have a luckier event or not, but you could throw a perfect tee shot on 18 and get an unlucky skip and go OB. You know, there's always a bit of give and take there. I appreciate what you're saying, that you feel I'm very like composed, or I don't let the emotions get the best of me on the course. I think everyone that plays disc golf definitely feels frustration at times, and I'm no different. I may not shout out loud, but I may mutter something to myself under my breath as I'm putting my disc away, or like I definitely feel like I get angry sometimes or frustrated, but I try to let those moments like maybe give myself 5 seconds to feel that way, and then try to push it away and try to focus more forward, not so much on what just happened or what went wrong or anything like that. And it's nice to hear that from an outside perspective. You know, you don't see some of these little mental battles that go on. I'm not sure if I quite got to the second part of that question. Oh, you're asking what I was frustrated about after my tee shot on 18?
Yeah, obviously hitting a tree, but I think maybe there's something beyond that. I'm just curious if we can have insight to what that was.
Yeah, I think I put really, really high expectations on myself at that point. So I was a bit disappointed that I did not execute the tee shot as well as I wanted. I have to try really, really hard to throw a shot, especially in a moment like that. And then part of that is like believing in yourself and expecting yourself to do it right. And then to not do it right hurts more. You know, if I was more nonchalant and just like, oh yeah, I'm going to try to do this, and I made a mistake, it wouldn't feel as bad. It wouldn't feel as frustrating. So to try as hard as you can on something and then make a mistake, I feel like is where that frustration is really rooted. But beyond that, I was definitely a bit frustrated about the tee pad on hole 18. There's a pretty large handful of the holes have tee pads that I was not crazy about, whether they're a bit elevated like on hole 18, and even the way that hole, the way the gap is shaped and the way the tee pad are shaped just don't quite work in my mind. Like if that was a flat tee pad, I think I would have started not only about like 10 feet farther away from the front, but I also would have started probably about 10 to 15 feet to the right of where I was forced to start. So I think I had a moment where I was feeling frustrated that my chances at a world's title may have come down to a tee pad that I wasn't crazy about, but I gave myself a few seconds to feel that way and then tried to forget about it and go see how my lie looked.
Yeah, and there's something to be learned from our perspective watching you, and I hope people hearing this, newer players and those who are striving to become better, take a little bit, process it, and then move on from it, because that's all you can do. But tee pads, there was interesting conversations on that, but as you mentioned as well, just the general throwing your disc not the way you wanted it, and you have such a high expectation for yourself. Let's ramp through your approach shot. Do you feel like on your approach shot you threw it a little softer than you wanted to? This is all in hindsight. Did it come out of your hand? Did you say that's a perfect place where I wanted to put it? Or how'd you feel about your approach?
Referring to my second shot?
Yeah, sorry, not your approach, your pitch out, from near the water.
Okay. It's a quite small landing zone. Like even that layup, especially when you're not shooting down the lane, when you're shooting like towards the OB, it's a pretty tiny landing zone. And really my only objective on that throw was to not throw it out of bounds. You know, if I throw my second out of bounds, I have 0% chance of making a three. If I throw my shot inbounds and hopefully at least have a decent look at the basket, I have a chance at three. So I was happy with my shot. I had to throw through a little gap, and I had a standstill stance, and which is pretty clearly not my favorite kind of stance. But I didn't want to push that OB line too much. So I was happy with where it landed.
Are you generally sick yet of people asking you about how this hole played out, or are you still ready for more? Because I got a few more questions.
I can handle a few more.
Okay, awesome. And actually, this is just me speculating, and I know people didn't come to hear my opinion. They came to hear yours. But that's kind of what it played out in my head. I said, He'd rather a chance than push it too far. And that's exactly what you just relayed out. Now, leading to that, your mindset then was tell me, was your mindset then, I have to get a 3. I have to get a 3. Or were you at all in your mind saying, well, at least a 4 and maybe something goes wrong for Paul? Like, what was your mindset?
It's kind of hard to put it directly in words. You know, there's an element of match play to it when it comes down to 2 people at the end. So, so I'd say I felt like I needed a 3 if I wanted a chance. You know, I wasn't resigned to like playing for second. I knew I had at least a few strokes to spare on second, so I wasn't too worried about like worst case at that point. And I had watched the FPO battle earlier in the day, and obviously Kat threw an amazing shot, and that put some pressure on Paige, and then Paige wasn't quite able to execute down the stretch. And so in the back of my mind, I thought there was a possibility, you know, that Paul could make an unforced error, if you will, and that maybe that maybe a 4 would be good enough to tie, but I felt that to be extremely unlikely, and I felt like the only way I had a chance was to pitch out and then throw it in.
So it's interesting doing these interviews following such a big media release, meaning like it's going to be, if not already, the most viewed disc golf shot ever, which, by the way, congratulations for that. So
thank you.
Leading to that point then, so we've got your mental game, you're getting there, you know you have to give yourself a shot, you don't want to count on Paul messing up, you saw it happen earlier with the FPO, which that's a whole nother story. And so this question is going to sound pretty crazy after everything I just heard you say. It's going to sound crazy to ask this, but were you literally trying and focusing on throwing the disc in the basket? Like, I have to do this, and that's literally my focus right now is that basket, just like a large putt. Like, that's all you're thinking about. You're not thinking about in a situation like, oh, there's water beyond or whatever. Like, you're like, I just have to hit it. Were you thinking that from 247 feet out, or were you thinking, give it a chance, I'm just going to generally throw it there? You know what I mean? I guess I'm trying to say, was that your focus point? Like, I have to throw it in. Here we go.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I think I was probably focusing on that even before I actually approached my lie. You know, after my layup shot, I was just, you know, trying to visualize and trying to believe that I could make my next shot. And it still feels slightly unreal that, you know, that it played out like it did, that I was able to make that shot. It's pretty rare to, like, it's one thing to try to ace, but it's I've almost never felt it where it's like, okay, I have to ace this, or I have to throw this in if I want a chance. And for it just to play out that way, and then to aim at it and picture the whole flight in my head and pick my starting point, you know, pick how I wanted to throw it and let it go, and just to watch it happen just how I wanted was really special, you know, really amazing.
I can't tell a lie. I got goosebumps and the shivers, just like, is it that epic to you even in this moment? I know it happened to you and you've thought about it and you're the person who did it. Is it still epic? Like you just said, like, I did what I had to do. Like, you still feeling it?
Yeah, definitely. It's an unusual feeling, you know, it's not normal. It's like, yeah, it's hard to explain, but it feels really nice. It's it almost feels a little bit lucky, but like I said earlier, luck's a weird word. Like, it's not a high percentage shot, but for it to come down to that shot and for me to be able to make it, it's just amazing. Felt like it was just my day, you know. Golf is funny like that.
Yeah. On our previous show, so we did a show right after Worlds, and Nick and I are talking through it, and I think the word luck came up, fluke came up, miracle came up, skillful shot came up. We didn't know exactly how to describe it, but I think it could be a mixture of everything. But the fact of the matter is, you had to do it, you had the skill to do it, and you executed it, and it happened. Can I ask this question? Could you do it? Could you do it again if you had to? And I'm not saying, you know, give 100 shots. I'm saying, let's go back, another world championship. You think it would happen again, or is this a once in a lifetime?
It's hard to say. I tried to think about it in the terms of like, if I had a stack of envies and was standing in that spot, like how many could I make out of 20 or 50? And yeah, I feel like I could make one or a couple, maybe one out of 20 or one or two out of 50, but it's impossible to replicate, like, the outside of just me, just having that much focus on me and that many people like hoping that I could make that shot and being like, wow, he has to make this, and if anyone could do it, maybe James could, and those kind of things. Like, I feel like the energy from that many people watching and that many people's focus, like, could kind of add to my own focus in the moment. And so it's hard to say if that is possible to replicate.
I think it's impossible to say. I don't think you can replicate it. There might be another shot, another time, another opportunity to do something special, but that moment, I think, is standalone by itself forever. So good job there, of course.
Thank you.
Can I ask, moving a little bit away from maybe the World Championship specifically, or that shot, is where does your determination and your don't give up attitude, because that, I mean, you didn't count yourself out, and that's impressive. I can see others hanging their head possibly in that situation. Where do you get that attitude from? Determination and don't give up.
That's a tough one. I think it may just come from my love of competition. I like games. I like competitions, obviously sports, and yeah, I feel like part of being a good sport is to, keep trying, like, even if it's a losing battle, not just to give up, and to give it everything you have. And my battle out there on Saturday wasn't a losing battle. It may have looked grim for a moment, but even to give it everything I have and come up one stroke short of Paul, I would have been pretty honored with that result too. And so, yeah, just wanted to do as well as I could.
Yeah, and I'm hoping as a world champion, you get a lot of opportunities to speak. Even now, we're doing interviews here and you're getting other opportunities. I worked a lot with juniors for quite a few years in disc golf, and that message you just said, like, we need to clip it out and let all the juniors, we need all the juniors to listen to that. Parents, show this to your kids. You
Nice.
you go your hardest. You come up one stroke short. I heard James just say, it would have been an honor. Like, you do your best, you give it all, don't give up, and you never know what's going to happen. That's excellent. Can I ask, what does it mean to win a world championship in the fashion that you did against arguably the most clutch player of all time, Paul McBeth? Like, do those things correlate at all to you to ramp the excitement up even more?
Yeah, it definitely does. I think it makes me feel, excuse me, it makes me feel a little bit more proud of winning, to have it come right down to the end like that. And to, like you said, like you were just saying, of not giving up and not just accepted defeat, and to continue trying, and then to make a spectacular shot is, it makes it so much more memorable for everyone watching, and more memorable for me. I mean, not like it would be forgettable to win a Worlds in any fashion, but yeah, just to feel that much energy from that many people at once was just so spectacular. Like, I think even more than the win, I'll remember just the feeling of that many people, like, just kind of going wild, just being that excited. That was incredibly special.
There's the goosebumps again. Like, I have to say, collectively, the live disc golf media, shout out to the Disc Golf Network. This is a large turning point for the sport, where for the first time that I can remember, and I don't know, maybe you have a different thought here, everybody that was watching live, which was 37,000 people plus everybody who was there, shared a collective moment, like, at the same time. And it's just
Right.
mind-blowing. And you were the focus, and your shot flying through the air, as you've said. I think, how did you summarize it? I think in an Instagram post, said it was the collective mindset. Do you want to just break that just really quickly? What did you say there, if you remember?
I can't remember exactly what I said, but I phrased that I was able to draw on like the focus and the hopes and like the belief of everyone there present watching to really draw my focus in to like a maximum level. I think is something along the lines of what I said. And I thought my good friend Nate Perkins said it well too. He kind of compared it to like a moment of collective consciousness where, every person there pretty much forgot about their self, and they were just entirely in the moment, and they were, just like experiencing like that moment of apprehension or that moment of suspense, like as I was lining it up and everything got so quiet, and then as I let it fly, it's still just that was kind of coming to a peak. And then the fact that I was able to make it, just everyone just boom, like exploded. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's actually kind of mind-blowing, warping, whatever you want to say. You're sharing a moment in sports history that actually some are arguing to be the greatest, most clutch play in all sports. Does that overwhelm you at all?
Yeah, it does. It almost leaves me speechless. It's like so many people have been playing sports for so long, and to be even in that conversation, even if it, in some people's mind isn't, or in other people's mind it is, just to have been able to, create such a magical moment is really special.
Yeah. All right. So has that shot ensured that you will never incorporate a forehand into your game? Or maybe you is that like secured it, sealed the deal? You're like, I don't need it.
Even before it, I didn't really feel like I needed it. I'm happy to try to throw one on a scramble shot, and I just love the turnover so much more than I love the hyzer shot. And most of the time when people bring out the forehand, it's so that they can throw a hyzer. And to me, the turnover is just so much more fun to throw. And I feel like it's got a little, it might be a little easier to make mistakes, but it's a little bit more precise when you're dialed in with it. You can get the disc to land exactly how you want it, or to shape a little bit differently. But I'd say the only time I really miss or wish that I had like a good power forehand is when the wind is really picking up. Like if there's a strong like headwind, or especially right to left wind, that's when like a backhand left to right shot gets really difficult. And when a forehand hyzer can just kind of fight and eat up that wind and hold pretty straight. I'd say that's the only time I feel like I might maybe at a disadvantage without throwing that power forehand.
Yeah, and you're the one who can speak about it. I just have to sit here and nod my head like I have nothing to say to that. Like you're not wrong though. I agree 1,000,000%. It is a much more fun shot. It's more beautiful to watch as well. So is disc golf what you're going to be doing until you retire? Have you thought about that? Like, is disc golf your life from here on until you're done?
Yeah, I think it is. We'll see. As far as competing goes, I think, I'm not sick of it at all yet. And I think I can definitely compete for another, at least another 10 years if I feel the desire to keep on tour and to keep, putting all my focus towards this. But even if that starts to shift, I certainly imagine it will still be disc golf related, whether that's, owning a course like a disc golf country club kind of thing, or, probably not event management, but, something to do with disc golf events, I think could be an interesting branch to take off of competing. And I think there'll be pretty much whatever doors open that I'd like to go through to continue basing my life around disc golf. I just love it, so I don't see myself doing anything else.
That's awesome. You talked about the country club, and my brain immediately went to like an alliteration. I'm like, Conrad's Country Club. We'll just call it the 3 C's. That's excellent. I don't know you very well. I've seen you around. You came up, you won at the MVP Open in Leicester. Maple Hill is my home course.
Right.
I'm looking forward to you coming back and trying again. Before we move totally off, we're very close to wrapping up here. There's a story in the Bible about a guy who had superhuman strength in connection with his long hair. His name was Samson. When someone tricked him and his hair was cut, he lost his strength. Is there any connection to your long hair in that shot going in?
Oh, I don't think so, but that's a funny little story. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really have a good reason why I like to keep my hair long, but since I stopped cutting it when I was about 18, I haven't really looked back. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I was like, do you like how creative I got there? All right. I've generally come to the end of my disc golf questions, but I think it'd be remiss not to talk just a little bit about juggling and unicycling. I've heard a little bit about it. Can I ask, how many objects can you juggle at one time?
I've got a pretty good 5-ball cascade. I could get 3 going in one hand, but a 6-ball is kind of just doing 3 balls in each hand. It's not really a crossing pattern. I think I could probably qualify a 6-ball, which is like doing 12 catches basically, but I definitely can't roll with it like I can with the 5-ball cascade.
For those of you who are listening, or post, or you're watching live or whatever it is, he's using words like cascade. Like, this guy's a juggler. Like, he knows the terminology. So my brother and I, we enjoyed juggling growing up as well, and we enjoyed, and I'm sure you've done it, juggling back and forth with somebody, even if it's just a simple definitely 5-ball or something. And so, juggling, is that something you've done for a long time since you were a kid, or when did you pick up juggling?
Yeah, I definitely learned as a kid, and I feel like I got, rather than just like I know how to juggle, I think when I started to actually kind of get into juggling was in high school, and that's when I started putting in some good amount of hours practicing. Even if I was just like watching TV, but standing behind the couch and kind of practicing juggling instead of just sitting on the couch and watching TV, just like practicing like that. I was never like dedicated to it. Like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and practice my juggling, nothing like that. But and it's kind of a cyclical thing. Like you'll pick them up and be like, oh yeah, this is fun. I remember why I used to do this, and maybe have a month or 2 months where you're pretty diligent with practice, but then it might be 4 or 6 months where you barely touch them. And I'm kind of in one of those 4 to 6 months where haven't really touched them much right now, but I'm sure before long I'll get back in the swing of it and play with them more.
Isn't that interesting how things work? Everybody has those things in their life where, like you said, cyclical, like the idea of like, you really enjoy it, it takes a break, it comes back, and you remember how much you loved it. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So you haven't done it in a while, but I think also you've unicycled, if that's the right way to say that. You can ride a unicycle or you unicycle. I don't know. How many objects can you juggle while you ride the unicycle?
I can definitely do 3. I haven't tried too many more than that. I haven't gone on a unicycle often at all in the last like 10 years or so. It was another thing that I got into in high school, and through college, like through my first couple of years at college, I did quite a bit of unicycling, but since then that one hasn't really cycled back around as often. I think I might be able to get pun, 5 right? balls going.
No pun.
What's that?
That one hasn't cycled. Yeah, that hasn't cycled back around.
That hasn't unicycled back around.
So what's the?
I may be able to get 5 going on the unicycle if I tried for a week, maybe. I don't know.
That's pretty good, James. I never put in as much effort as you have. I can definitely do 3. And what's it called, James? When you do their outside juggle, so that you can juggle inside 3, and then you can juggle out the. Is there a name for that?
Yeah, that would be a reverse cascade.
Ooh, you're making me excited. I can do a reverse cascade with 3 balls. And then 4 is just, I never put in the time. Like you said, it's 2 in each hand, and I just kind of was like, yeah. Right. But what's the craziest object you've juggled? Clubs, knives, like what do you do? Bowling balls? I don't even know. What's the craziest thing?
I've juggled torches a couple times. Definitely the most like dangerous or craziest, but that fuel doesn't really burn too hot, so it's not as dangerous as it looks. But I never wanted to catch like my hair or beard or anything on fire. I think that would be pretty bad. So I got rid of those. Felt like it didn't need to be something I practiced.
It would be bad. It'd be very exciting to watch until you realized it wasn't on purpose. Yeah. So really, I mean, I think we've made it to the end. Is there anything we missed that you felt is relevant to like what's going on in your life right now that like people would want to hear about? We've got a large audience who would be interested if you have anything. If not, that's fine too.
Just wanted to give a shout out to everyone out there that's been cheering for me and reaching out on social media and everything. I'm sure I haven't gotten back to most of you. It's been a little bit overwhelming, but it's just a really nice feeling to feel so much love from all y'all. So thanks to each and every one of you, and thanks to everyone that's bought some JC merch. I think our supplies might be getting a little low, but that means a lot of y'all have been buying them. So thanks to that as well.
And I guess I thought up one more. You just mentioned your brand there, JC. First of all, you have a lot of interesting nicknames coming out. Besides nicknames for yourself, you don't usually pick them. Someone picks them for you. But how about the same thing for, we'll call it The Shot? Like, is there a favorite name for that you've heard yet that you kind of like and you say, yeah, that works?
I think I like just The Shot. I'm not super crazy about like the holy shot direction some people have been going with it. I kind of get why people's minds went that direction, but not something I'm probably going to promote myself. I also, I saw some people mention like Conrad Corner just to kind of call the end of the course that, and that one was pretty sweet, I thought.
Yeah, I loved that idea as well. Placing a marker or something, let people throw the shot. I know it's a temporary course, but still it could be a moment and a time and place to try to check that out. That's excellent. Well, James, I appreciate so much the time that you've given to us. You are incredibly, I'm sure, busy. You're lining up, ESPN I'm sure all these, they're coming for you. But with all that being said, thank you again for your time and have a great evening.
Thanks, Matt. See you.
All right, man. Bye.